This is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
The Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Hey, happy Tuesday. The Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center. We are inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave. And the big show today, I mean, huge. We're going past 5 o'clock. For those on Treasure State Radio, if you want to tune into anything, Podbean, Network One Sports, JasonWalkerShow.com. We're going to talk to country music up-and-comer Taylon Hope coming up at 5 o'clock. We also have an in-depth conversation with Frontier Conference Commissioner Kent Paulson on the way. We will talk in seconds to, or in minutes rather, to Major League Baseball umpire Phil Cuzzie about a big benefit for ALS that you can actually be a part of because it is virtual this year, and also get his thoughts on Helena umpire Brian Knight. And we're also coming up in about a half an hour going to talk with Hailey Sutton. And Hailey, you might remember, worked in Great Falls for a while. She's now down in Montgomery, Alabama. But remember last week, the Mets, New York Mets, fired the general manager that they had just hired last month after allegations and, well, not even allegations, but the story came out of him sexually harassing a female reporter. So we're going to have a very in-depth conversation with Hailey Sutton coming up at the bottom of the hour about sexual harassment in sports and women. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Enlightening, let me say that. So, all right, let's get started. You can watch on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can also listen live on Podbean, Network One Sports, TreasureStateRadio.com. Go to JasonWalkerShow.com. You can email us, Jason at JasonWalkerShow.com, tweet at JWalkerSports. As I said, we are brought to you by Capital Collision Center. Montana state law says it is your vehicle. It is your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center. Today, 1 year ago, Kobe Bryant passed away, along with others, including his daughter. And friends, and it's been a tough day for multiple people, especially for the Bryant family, obviously. But we do think about Kobe and his family. So it was a year ago. I mean, it's just it's amazing that it's been a year. There are some reported candidates for coaching staff at Montana State. For the head coach, Skyline Sports reporting Coulter Nuan is doing a great job. And that's how you give credit. Coulter reporting some of the candidates include Travis Lulay, Junior Adams, a couple of former Bobcat standouts. Also, Jeff Fisher, former NFL coach, apparently is very interested in the job. His kid played in Missoula. But Fisher basically spends most of his time in Montana now. Bobby Daly, and multiple others. Give you more, but the website is actually down, SkylineSportsMT.com, but Coulter reporting that. All right. we'll keep an eye on that, obviously, as well. So just we'll figure out who's going to be the next coach of Montana State. Kane Ione introduced today at Boise, officially. Will he come back, though? I doubt it. I don't think so. I mean, everybody says, oh, he's still in. He just took the job at Boise. Like, he accepted it. So I don't think Kane Ione is going to be the next head coach at Montana State. But we'll have others. We'll speculate on. All right. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, is a terrible disease, as are most diseases. ALS that we know in baseball circles because of Lou Gehrig. And Phil Cuzzie is a Major League Baseball umpire and has been for years. And his best friend passed away. And he started a foundation and gives back to ALS research. And earlier this morning, I had a chance to catch up with him. He is a Major League Baseball umpire who knows Brian Knight from Helena very well, and we'll talk about Brian as well. But joining us now on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline, here is Major League Baseball umpire Phil Cuzzie. First off, thanks for joining us this morning. But let's start with the reason of the call, and that is your friend Robert Luongo and his passing with ALS. And in baseball circles, everybody knows all too well about ALS and Lou Gehrig's disease, but you've been doing now 17 years a benefit and fundraiser for ALS. Take me through this.
Yeah, so in the year, I guess it was 2000, one of my best and dearest friends, who was also like a cousin to me because his mother's sister married my mother's brother. We were the same age. We grew up together. We went to junior high together, high school, played ball together. Robert was our captain of the football team. He was an all-state linebacker in Belleville, New Jersey. And in 2000, he told me that something was going on with his hand. It was numb. It was getting numb, and it was starting to move up his arm. And when he finally went to the doctor and was diagnosed, he came back and told me that he'd just been given a death sentence. He was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And, you know, as you said, being around baseball, you kind of knew the story of Lou Gehrig, and you saw the movie, and but you really didn't know what it was all about. And we certainly didn't know what it was all about, but we quickly learned what it was all about. And it's a terrible, terrible disease that just takes away all muscle movement in the patient, and eventually the only thing that they have left is the movement of their eyes. And that's where we began raising money, and we purchased a computer for Robert to be able to type with the movement of only using the movement of his eyes. And you know, since that time, it just has grown into you know, again, I wanted to just raise enough money from our community, which we did, to purchase this computer, and I had leftover money. So I said, what do I do? I didn't really want to be in the charity, you know, fundraising business, but it forced me to really, you know, apply for and receive through the Internal Revenue Service a 501c3. And so our platform was that we would raise money for patient care, whether it was wheelchairs or ramps or, you know, helping home care aid, conversion vans, chairlifts, whatever it happened to be. We said we would always give money to research, which we do. We help fund research programs. And we also give scholarships to children of ALS victims, be it their parent or their grandparent. Education was important to Robert. He was a Harvard graduate. And we raised money to help his daughter, who was then 9 when he died, to follow in his footsteps, and she attended and graduated from Harvard.
Wow.
So it's really been, it has grown so far beyond my expectation that it's really so heartfelt when I get a phone call and someone says, you know, we appreciate that that you put in a chairlift because now we can get my husband, you know, out of the bedroom and downstairs into the family room or whatever it happens to be. So it's you know, it's really, and that's what we do. And We have no paid we're all volunteer. We have no paid employees, so every dollar that comes in goes out to in the name of ALS in whatever as I mentioned, the 3 categories that we that we focus on, and it's just been wonderful. It's been great. Everything, we've always had just one event a year, and we've had everyone is volunteers their time and their talent, whether it's the DJ, whether it's a singer, whether it's a photographer, a printer for the programs, whatever, car service to pick up our mystery guests, which we've had many over the years. With my connection in baseball, we've had people like Joe Torre, Tommy Lasorda, Goose Gossage, Joe Girardi. We've had the Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta. We've had heavyweight champ Larry Holmes has been in the house. Joe Piscopo, who's a Jersey guy. Steve Sharippa from The Sopranos and the Blue Bloods. And no one looks for a dime. No one looks for anything. They just want to help. And that's what we found, that people want to help. And I think it's important that people want to know where their donations are going. And we tell them, and we present checks at our banquets, and we turned over a check for $50,000 for a research program with the ALS Association. Over the years, we've raised over $800,000, and the people know exactly where it's going, and I think that's why they continue to be willing to help us.
Phil Cuzzie, our guest here, Major League Baseball umpire, and this event coming up Thursday night at 5 Mountain, 7 Eastern. But it's going to be virtual because of everything, and people can go online to Robert Luongo goalsfund.org and purchase a ticket to do this, to view it. But Bob Costas is going to lead a discussion. You've got Bobby Valentine, Joe Torre again, and I think I'm going to I want to watch this and help out. It's just a great thing.
Yeah, just to be clear, the website that they can go on to purchase a ticket or make a donation or even check out our memorabilia. We have great memorabilia, not just mostly sports memorabilia, but we have some Star Trek memorabilia. William Shatner signed a uniform top from Star Trek. But it's Robert Luongo, Luongo, ALSfund.org, or a little easier, WeFightALS.org. And as you mentioned, it's virtual this year, so you can go on, you can purchase a ticket. And, the last thing I thought about doing was having a virtual event, because I think, like myself, so many people are tired of just sitting in front of a computer, whether it's for your kid's school or whether it's for your office meeting or whatever it happens to be. And at first I wasn't going to do anything, but then when I thought about the resources that I had, and they were all willing to help. Bob Costas says, I'll do whatever you want. I said, how about leading a discussion? We'll get Joe Torre, Bobby Valentine, Bucky Dent. He said, done. Just tell me, when. And, the other guys, same thing. And, they had this great discussion that, these are 3 old school guys, and they talk about the modern game. And you may be surprised to hear some of the things that they say. But then the live portion of it is going to be, we're going to be speaking to the 3 sons of 3 of the greatest Yankees of all time. So we have Larry Berra, we have Randy Maris, and David Mantle. And they will take questions. I could ask about their dads, about what it was like growing up in the shadows of a great player like that. And then we will also have Steve Sharippa from Sopranos fame and Blue Bloods fame. And the questions are rolling in for all of those guys. And as I say, the last thing I wanted to do was have a virtual event. I certainly hope this is the last year that we have to do it, but I think it's a great alternative, and it'll be very entertaining, and we're looking forward to it this Thursday.
Yeah, Robert Luongo, ALSfund.org. I can read, I promise, Phil. Unlike most umpires, I think, but I joke. Speaking of umpires, real quick, I'm in Helena, Montana, the hometown of Brian Knight. So what's it like working with him?
Brian, I love Brian. I've worked with Brian. He's we call him the Gypsy. In that part of the country, is he known as the Gypsy?
I don't know. I've never actually gotten a chance to talk with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A real nice guy. He was, I saw him work in the minor leagues, and I said, this kid has something, and he's a good guy, really good guy. I enjoy working with him. Actually, we were going to be on the same crew in the 2020 season. That never happened. Well, it happened, but It didn't happen the same way, and everything got chopped up, and guys opted out, and they regionalized, but yeah, we were supposed to be working together again.
Are we going to have a full season?
That didn't happen.
I got to jump in.
Phil, I appreciate
We're hoping to.
Yeah.
We're hoping to.
I know you got to run. I appreciate the time.
We're planning on it.
And take care, my friend.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me.
That was Phil Cuzzie, Major League Baseball umpire, and joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. Again, Robert Luongo, ALSfund.org. But somebody's been touched by ALS, and it's like cancer, and it's horrendous. And if you can, it's going to be cool. And just go there and check out some of the items up for bid on the auction. And going to be a good time on Thursday night. All right, quick break. Coming back, Frontier Conference Commissioner Kent Paulson. Don't forget, 5 o'clock, top of the hour, we will talk to Taylon Hope, country music singer and songwriter. Also, bottom of the hour, a conversation with Hailey Sutton about sexual harassment in sports. Much more still to come. Kent Paulson next. Jason Walker Show. Hang on.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
I must be on the commissioner's list. We tried Friday. We tried today to call him. It goes straight to voicemail. I don't, maybe the commissioner just doesn't want to talk to us. Who knows? We'll get a hold of him at some point. Oh, goodness. We love Kent. We love Kent Paulson. There is no question about that. Back inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave, Jason Walker Show presented by Capital Collision Center. And this segment brought to you by our good friends at Rucker's Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena. Oh, goodness. All right. Let's do high school basketball rankings, shall we? Don't forget, coming up in about 10 minutes, we will talk to Hailey Sutton about sexual harassment and women in sports. And we've talked about this on the show before, and it's going to be nice to have a female's perspective. Let's check out your 406mtsports.com power polls, and we'll start with the girls. Hellgate's 5-0. They're number 1 in Class AA. You got Capital, West, Helena High, and then Bozeman. And guess what? I think we have a call. Hold on. Is this the commissioner?
I cleared my voicemail and everything for you. I don't know. I don't know why that number. That's crazy because I get phone calls all day long. And, it's somewhere along the line our two numbers don't like each other. I guess.
I guess so. Joining us live on the air, Commissioner of the Frontier Conference, Kent Paulson. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jason. It's always good to visit with you. And yeah, we got winter. We're the end of January, but gosh, I don't know what it's like in Helena, but the skiers are happy up here on the top of the mountain, and we're real happy down on the bottom. I could mow my lawn.
It's crazy. We don't have hardly anything on the ground here, and I know skiing all over the state is taking a hit right now. So for the most part, but yeah. Frontier Conference Commissioner Kent Paulson joining us, and all right, I got to ask. Football schedule came out last week. The revised football schedule again. And are we going to play?
Well, I have every confidence, Jason, that we are. I really am. I'm pleased. Our athletic directors, that goes without saying, have worked extremely hard. Thanks to the presidents for allowing them to sit down and really take a lot of different variables into account, and I really do believe that we will have football. And it was interesting. We were kind of happy that we were going to be occupying the limelight last fall, and it's kind of shaping up again now that we might be that show in town, and might be Montana's league here for some football this spring. So let's think positive. And again, if anybody asks me for a football schedule in the next 10 years, I've got a whole file full of them. We're out about number 8 here, but we're getting it done.
Hey, Commissioner, I was told earlier this month that the main reason the Frontier didn't play in the fall was because of the optics with the Cats and the Grizz not playing. How would it look if Western and Tech and Northern and the such were able to play? Is that still a concern?
Well, I'm not sure that was, the reason per se. I certainly know the Board of Regents. We have both state schools and private schools, and
right.
And so there was, I'm sure there was some discussions amongst the presidents, but I know our presidents. They're going to speak for their institutions. As it stands right now, I think the Big Sky has like 6 teams that have opted out now of play. Montana State. I see where Northern Colorado, I think, was the latest one. Portland State, Sac State. So, we're like I say, we're poised and ready. And from a scheduling standpoint, we think that we've came up with a real viable option. Again, we want to certainly provide for all of our student athletes, and for that 5th-year senior, we'd love to be able to see them get the helmet and pads on and go play some football.
Yep.
Obviously, by scaling down the schedule, we had a lot of parameters to work within from both the NAI as well as our member schools. And, you have to remember we entered pre-COVID with a 10-game schedule, and then we went to 8, then we went to 7, then we went to 6. It's been a real countdown. And we now have arrived at a 4 to 5 game schedule, depending upon the institution. And we're going to have 4 conference games, and we're going to be able to start practicing a little bit later, which is more realistic for Montana's weather, regardless of how good it is right now. We know it's still cold. and then we're going to put the ball on the tee on the 13th of March, and we hope we get a good run in where we can play continuously on through and have a team or teams lined up and ready to go into the postseason. The NAI postseason begins on April 17th.
Are we confident that SOU and Eastern are going to get cleared to play? Because, I mean, they can't even practice basketball in the Cascade Conference right now, let alone gear up for a football season. And I worry about those two especially. I know that everybody, the other six, including College of Idaho and the 5 in Montana, are desperately hoping they get to play. But how much in contact with the state of Oregon have you been so that SOU and EOU can play?
Well, we've monitored their situation very carefully, Jason, and we're certainly cognizant. I know the health protocols literally for Idaho, Oregon, and Montana. And again, the athletic directors at Southern Oregon and Eastern Oregon, they've worked every bit as hard as the rest of our 6 ADs, comprising our 8-team league, and they have every hope of being able to present a schedule to their student athletes, but we've had to. I mean, smart thinking, says you better have a plan B in case their legislation from their state government in Oregon doesn't allow for it, and we certainly have that tucked away, and we're ready to roll. But first and foremost, we'd love to have all 8 members of our football conference be able to play. That's our plan. Until somebody tells us differently. We know that in the next few days or few weeks that a decision will be made, probably sooner than later, and then we can cast the die as to which highway we're gonna travel. But like I say, we're planning on kicking off volleyball. The first spike goes off at Friday night of this week, and we're going to have basketball going. We're going to have volleyball going, and we soon to have football. So
along with golf and indoor or outdoor track too.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there enough buses in the state of Montana for all these teams?
Well, bus drivers, and let's not forget about our good trainers. They've been pretty much living at the school anyway because they're wearing the hat of the school's trainer as well as the school's health officer. And we've had so much work go into this from so many entities, Jason, but it's smooth operation. I mean, sure, we virus test for a reason, and we've had our hiccups that we knew we were going to have, but overall, for the sports fan to put on the webcast and watch quality production and just to see the smile on the faces of the kids getting a chance to play, it's really rewarding, and I just can't thank the people of the Frontier Conference enough. I mean, there's been so many people that have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make whatever we can get happen, and I just think that they're so much appreciated by all.
Oh, no question about that. Commissioner Kent Paulson joining us at the Frontier Conference. Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. Couple of quick questions for you too. Have you had any issues with the protocols as far as fans in the stands and or the wearing of masks during competition, as far as coaches and on the bench and all that?
We really haven't. The way we've approached it is the referees, of course, abide by the league's protocols. They have an entry check, a screening just like you and I have when we go into a doctor's office. They've been very good to work with. We know that many of them in their jobs are virus testing as well. They mask up. You've seen it where they have their mask in their pockets, and during any dead ball, timeouts, any type of pregame, they're socially distancing. They're masked. The coaches have been outstanding. Yeah, they get excited and they pull that mask down and they mark out a few instructions and I was kidding one of the coaches. I said, "Gosh, I watched you on the webcast, and I thought you had grown a black beard, and it turns out it was just his mask. He had it on his chin more than he had it on his mouth. He kind of got the message from the commissioner that, yeah, I need to do better with that." But the students, they've just done an outstanding job. The trainers tap them on the shoulder. They remind them. I get it. They come off the floor. They're toweling off. They're getting a drink, and they may not have their mask on immediately, but they're all in it. They know the drill. They're doing their very, very best, and they want to stay healthy just so they can continue to play. And so we really haven't had any problems whatsoever. I certainly want all of the listeners to know, and I've replied to a number of emails. Every week we meet with our athletic directors. We meet at least once a month with our presidents and athletic directors. And on every agenda, we certainly talk about spectators. There's no one that would want to have our moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas and sports fans back in the gym more than I. And I understand there's an eagerness certainly as the seasons progress to get spectators back in. And I know our presidents, who will certainly have the final say, will analyze all of the good information that they're receiving from the local health departments as well as their athletic directors. And we talk about it every week, Jason. It isn't like we've just carte blanche made a decision that's league-wide for the whole year. We're continuing to evaluate.
Well, I'm hoping we can get some fans in the stands for football, because otherwise we got to make some money for these schools somehow. But that's a discussion for another day, is the financial aspect of things, because that can literally fill up an entire hour of conversation. I got to say, you've done a nice job. We've lost some basketball games. We've lost a lot of basketball games, both non-conference and conference. But so far, we're on track for sending some teams to at least to regionals, and hopefully get them to Kansas City and Sioux Falls.
You bet. Yeah, we have another great league this year, and once the ball goes up, those kids are competing with or without us in the gym. Just a league that's a joy to watch. Great parity on both sides, men and women.
Yep.
And we just had some excellent basketball being played. And given what all these kids have been through this year, it's a real credit. It's a real testimony to the framework of the institutions. Their grades, our academic all-conference lists have never been better. Just the kids' resiliency, and then when they get out there, the joy of watching them compete has just been phenomenal.
Final question for you, and I know you've talked to Rob Cashel probably more in the last 8 months or 10 months than you have in the previous, 5 or 6 years, the commissioner of the Cascade Conference. But with the Cascade, and this goes back to the SOU-EOU deal, and, they're still not allowed to play basketball, but I worry about soccer. I worry about softball. We have Montana schools that play in the Cascade for those. How much conversation are you having with Commissioner Cashel about all of that?
Oh my, I wish we had $1 for every Zoom call that both of us have been on. In fact, I was just on one today with Rob. He presided. He's actually the president. His term is going on right now as the president of our commissioners organization. And we certainly talk. We know that again, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon. We have states that are all in different stages in dealing with the pandemic. But we have, we cross over, certainly the ADs at Rocky and Providence and Carroll and Northern with wrestling. We have them report in our meetings so that we keep an eye on what's going on, just as Rob keeps an eye with his football that are playing as associate members in our league. I know in our discussions of how we slotted sports, where we play Friday night with volleyball and Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening with basketball and Sunday afternoon. And then soccer was slotted in for Sunday afternoons and Monday, and I heard both Doug Ashley at Providence and Charlie Gross at Carroll talking today about a reschedule that they have for soccer, and so I know there's a plan for a soccer season. I know there's certainly a plan. The wrestling's going on right now, and they're doing things a little differently this year with duels only for both men and women wrestling. And so, yeah, we talk. We are actually we're the authors of what the NAI now has as an associate members rule. The Cascade and the Frontier were the pioneers in that, and it worked very well with our two conferences. And now that particular arrangement is utilized throughout the NAI land, and there's lots of conferences that have profited from that. So all systems go until somebody tells me we can't watch.
Right? Yeah. Hey, I always appreciate the time. I'd love to chat longer and about other things. And you're doing a great job. And I'm one that said we shouldn't play, but the way you guys have put it off and put it on has been remarkable, and I applaud you guys. So thanks for giving us something to talk about, at least.
You bet, Jason. Always great, my friend, to visit. And if there's another opportunity and another time, you bet we'll come back on the show and we'll talk about the next success hopefully we have with the next sport. So
no doubt.
Keep me on your quick dial.
Well, yeah, just answer when I call, will you? It's like you're screening your calls. You're like your kid. He won't answer my calls. No, I joke.
I know my secretary says he says it's that Walker guy again. Do you want to take the call?
Appreciate you, my friend, and stay safe up there. And we'll talk soon.
Yep. Will do. See you later,
All right,
Jason.
that
Thank
is
you.
Commissioner Kent Paulson of the Frontier Conference. Oh, man. So there you go. All systems go. And we're going to have, I don't know if there's enough student workers at these schools, but they're going to pull it off somehow where you got soccer and softball and basketball and football and volleyball and track, and you got everything going on. It's going to be fun in the Frontier and the Cascade, and we'll keep an eye on everything for you. Appreciate the commissioner joining us here on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. Quick break, coming right back. A conversation that needs to be heard and needs to be had. Hailey Sutton joins us next on the Jason Walker Show.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show on a Tuesday. Still to come, top of the hour, Taylon Hope will join us, singer and songwriter, living in Nashville, and just a teenager still, but we'll talk to her coming up top of the hour. Last week, as you know, we had a conversation a week ago today, again, about the issue of sexual harassment or harassment in the world of sports. And I reached out to a couple of my female friends who are also sports reporters. And Hailey Sutton was kind enough to take some time out of her schedule on vacation, actually, to join us. And she joins us now as we talk about a very important subject, sexual harassment in the world of sports. All right, Hailey, I appreciate you joining us. You are
near Dallas visiting folks, but you said they're working, so this is okay.
Yeah, this is absolutely okay. They're both, my mom's a teacher, so she's at school. And then my dad is a general contractor. So he's meeting with clients.
Oh, very
kind of doing
nice.
the same thing we're doing. So
Exactly. Before we get started on the real reason I wanted to talk to you, today's a tough day for the world of sports. It is the day that we lost Kobe and his daughter a year ago today in that terrible helicopter crash. Your thoughts now, Hailey, a year later?
Yeah, I think it was weird waking up this morning. I remember exactly where I was. I was at the gym, and I was talking with my boyfriend. We were getting a workout, and I hate abs. And I remember complaining about doing abs. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, Kobe Bryant just died." And I was like, "No, he didn't. Like, stop playing." And it took a while, I think, to get that confirmed because it came through TMZ. So then everyone was like, "Okay, well, it's TMZ." But yeah, you talk about losing an icon. Kobe Bryant was, I think, the reason why I fell in love with the game, fell in love with sports, and particularly the NBA. I had really no interest in the NBA until Kobe. I wore number 24 growing up because of Kobe, and you talk about a guy whose reach is way bigger than just sports or just his sport. He was an advocate for women. He was an advocate for the soccer world, which obviously I'm very passionate about, playing soccer all my life. And so I think this morning it's tough, and I think about what his family is going through because they not only lost Kobe, they lost their little baby girl too.
Mm-hmm.
So I just continue to echo my sentiments to his family, to anyone, who is really close with him in that regard. And I'm sure the NBA will do something to kind of remember him again as well, but definitely a tough and odd day to say a year later that this happened.
I can't believe that it's already been a year. And I knew the date was coming up, and then all of a sudden yesterday, oh man, tomorrow's the day. But you mentioned a big advocate for women's sports, and I am too. I always have been. And he helped change a lot of opinions about women's athletics, not just soccer, not just basketball, but in general and in the sports world, as far as sports anchors and sports reporters. He helped women in such a way that so many people never thought of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those orange hoodies that everyone's wearing, he was kind of one of the first guys to push for the WNBA orange hoodies and to push for, women having a level playing field. And again, like I said, not just in basketball, but in coaching, in life in general, in other sports. And I think that as a woman, that's really powerful because a lot of times it's just us screaming, right? It's us saying, this is not right. We need better. And to have someone like Kobe Bryant, it's not just like a random NBA player. Like, it's the Kobe Bryant advocating for you. I think that really made and continues to make a difference every day.
Hailey Sutton joining us, Jason Walker Show, sports anchor and reporter at WSFA Channel 12. All right. Speaking of sports and women in sports, last week, Jared Porter, New York Mets, gets fired, and this is a story we've heard way too often. And like I told you before we came on the air, that I can have this discussion as much as I want, but until things change and until a female perspective comes on the show, I don't think I can make as big of a difference, as Kobe, for instance, as I'd like. But sexual harassment or harassment continues in the world of sports, and it's sickening, and it's just, I don't even know any more adjectives to describe it. It's just so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel for that woman so bad because not only was she brave enough to come forward and tell her story, but even when she tried to keep it confidential, naturally, details were released that she asked not to be released. And, so it not only was it a challenging thing for her to continually deal with, but, she's still dealing with the repercussions. She got out of the business because it affected her that badly. And I wish that more people would understand how challenging our jobs can be. Examples just with me, going to a football game and, you wear a nice outfit, and for whatever reason, that seems to be an incentive to invite people to be flirtatious. And thankfully, my parents have, raised me to kind of set that bar and set that standard. So I don't have a problem letting people know, like, I'm here for a job. I'm not here to speak to you. But, it does get challenging. And like I said, it's heartbreaking to know that this is happening in such a magnitude. It continues to happen, even though this, like you said, it happens way too often. And the fact that a woman was forced to leave her career because of the actions of someone else. I mean, I just think that is, you said it, it's unfair.
And like I said, I've run out of adjectives, and I've had this discussion on this show many times because it keeps popping up. And, whether it's a radio announcer at Montana State or, assistant general manager of the Chicago Cubs, guys need to change. And it's on guys to change. It's not on you ladies. It's on us as guys to make a difference. What's your recommendation? Because we can have the discussion, but how do you make change happen?
Oh, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? I just wish that we could get to a point in our society, and even without, you take sports out of the equation, just women and men in general, for whatever reason, there's always this stigma that, women are supposed to be accepting. It's supposed to be complimentary if you are hitting on at work, or we're supposed to appreciate that you're, for lack of better terms, appreciating us. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing that would help immensely is if people just let us do our jobs. I mean, I think that's the number one thing that most of the women who advocate for this, or women in general who, maybe aren't as confident going forward advocating like that, is just let us do our job. When I show up to a basketball game, I'm going to be polite, I'm going to be friendly, I'm going to say hello, but I'm not there for you to ask me for my phone number.
Right.
I'm not there, for you to ask me if I want to go on a date. I'm there to do a job. And just because I work in sports and, I'm not a man, it doesn't give you the right and the invitation. And I think where it gets challenging is a lot of times, when you say like, hey, no, thank you, I'm not interested, that's where it can get scary. I just watched a video the other day, and I don't know where the city was, but a woman went into a liquor store to purchase a bottle of wine. It's like a 35-year-old woman, and it was after work. She was just grabbing a bottle of wine to like go home and unwind after a long day. And a group of men outside, they harassed her as she was going in. A couple of them followed her into the liquor store. They kept saying, let me buy this bottle for you, come home with us, da-da-da-da. And she politely declined. And as she was leaving the store, they beat her up. Wow. I mean, these men attacked her because she was not interested in them. And obviously that's an extreme example, but, that's something that could happen to any of us. That's something that could happen to me as I'm leaving a football game or a basketball game. And again, it's extreme, but that's why we say, just let us do our job. If we are interested in you, I promise you, we will let you know that we're interested in you. It's a mutual thing when if you're interested and Mm-hmm. But I just wish that when I show up to something, please understand, like, I'm there to do a job. I'm there to shoot the highlights or shoot my story or talk to a coach or a player or do an investigative piece. Like, I'm not there to go on a date. And I think if that was the understanding going forward, a lot of this I wouldn't say it goes away, but it definitely gets nipped in the bud a little bit.
Haley Sutton, our guest here, WSFA Channel 12 in Montgomery, right? Alabama?
Yes.
Nice.
Montgomery, Alabama.
My daughter's a grad student down in Auburn right now. So,
oh, nice. I love Auburn.
She loves it down there. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you this. Are women in sports sexualized because you look at volleyball outfits, look at beach volley. I mean, look at the sports women's tennis players, women's golfers, they're expected to wear certain things. Is that part of the reason still today? Because we've sexualized women in sports for so long that it doesn't matter if you're a reporter or a player, you're just going to be sexualized, and that's supposed to be the way it's okay.
Well, No, I don't think so. I am a big advocate of you wear what you feel you want to wear, you know, like, I mean, obviously I think there's certain, I'm not going to show up to work in a bikini because it's not appropriate for me to wear a bikini at work. But also, you know, we get complaints all the time in Alabama when we wear sleeveless dresses because some of the older conservative women think that it's inappropriate for us to show our shoulders on TV. And I'm sorry, but this is not 1954, you know, and I think that there's always been this stigma behind a woman should be this or a woman should be that. And for so long, we've been told what we're supposed to wear, what we're not supposed to wear. And, you know, when you think about just specifically clothing, it's just like you can never do any right. So if you show up and you're wearing a low cut dress, right, it's because it's what makes you feel good. It makes you feel sexy. That's what it is. Well, now you're too sexy. You're asking for it. You're asking for that invitation. On the other hand, if you show up in a blazer and a high neck and, you know, slacks, well, she's too conservative. Like, you know, no one's going to want to watch her because she's not sexy enough. So it's just, I feel like we have spent so much time blaming the woman for the issues. I mean, if you can't watch a volleyball game without getting turned on because the outfits are a little bit tighter, then that sounds like a you problem. That doesn't sound like a me problem. Because to me, when those volleyball players are out there playing volleyball, they don't seem to be worrying about what they're wearing. They're playing their sport and they're doing really well. So I think at the end of the day, like, again, if you're the one who's taking an issue with what someone's wearing, then it sounds like a you problem. But for so long, we have just told women what they have to do, what they can do, what they can't do. It's not good enough. It's too much.
No, I mean, I'm the first to admit that I love beautiful women. But I also, you know, I'm not, when I filmed in television, you know, it wasn't a sex thing filming volleyball. I was there doing a job. I was there filming unbelievable athletes. And the uniform did change. And from when I grew up, and it was, you know, it was terrible outfits. But then, you know, I had a daughter who played volleyball in high school, and her and I talked about that. And she's like, "That is just comfortable. It's much more easier to play volleyball." But I guess my question was more of, because television has sexualized women in sports for so long, is it still the stigma? You know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think just, again, like, as a woman, you know, like your daughter said, it's comfortable. And as someone who's played volleyball, it's easier to play volleyball in a pair of spandex than it is to play in, like, a pair of basketball shorts. You more movement, more range of motion. And I think, again, like, as far as sexualizing women, like, we're going to be chastised for anything we do no matter what. I mean, really, we're going to be chastised for anything. It goes back to, again, like, you can be the one who chooses to wear the shorts at the volleyball game when everybody else in your team is wearing the spandex, and people are going to say, "Oh, she's not comfortable with her body. That's why she's wearing shorts." And it just seems like no matter what the issue is, it always stems back to it being the woman's fault. And that's where the stigma needs to change, because, you know, like, you don't see conversations like this happening about, like, what Stephen A. Smith is wearing on TV right now.
Right.
You know, someone might make a joke about it if he's wearing something corny, but, you know, you don't have these long and in-depth conversations about, you know, Max Kellerman's outfit being inappropriate, or, you know, even your local TV sports guy. I don't think my sports director has ever had an issue with people saying anything about the way he looks, ever. And I've been there, he's been there 6 years. I've been here a year, and I'm constantly getting messages in my, you know, social media or email box. And so, again, it goes back to, if we all, I think, just mind our business and realize that whatever we're wearing, it doesn't matter, because we're there to do our jobs. Like I said, there's a time and a place. I'm not going to wear a bikini to work. But, you know, again, like, if my uniform is spandex and, like, a tank top, then that's the uniform, and we should stop telling women what to do.
Right. No, I'm on your side on this. Hailey Sutton joining us here, Jason Walker Show. Tell me some personal experiences, if you can, that aren't, you know, like, even in Great Falls. I don't know. if you dealt with anything. I know, Julianne DeLorso, who I worked with, she was across town at the CBS, but she dealt with stuff. And even in Great Falls, or you come to Helena or go to Billings, I mean, tell me some personal stories if you can.
Yeah. Great Falls wasn't awful. And I say this with all the love in my heart because I loved Great Falls and I loved my time in Montana, but I don't know that I was everyone's desired woman, if that makes sense. Being like a Black woman in a predominantly white dominated market. Thankfully, I didn't have to worry about weirdos as much as I am in Montgomery, which is, a pretty even spread. So, I mean, in Great Falls, I didn't have the challenges of, necessarily, there were weirdos. There's weirdos everywhere, and they're always sliding into your DMs and asking you on dates. But I mean, in Montgomery, I have had to block people on social media. I have had men send me inappropriate pictures. I have had, the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now is I'm transitioning from straightening my hair all the time to wearing it curly. And while it's not necessarily a sexual thing, I've had several messages saying, well, we prefer it when you wear it straight. It looks more professional when you wear your hair straight. And again, like, it's not the sexual aspect of it, but it's just the mere fact that a man is taking time out of their day to let me know that they would rather me wear my hair straight than wear it how it naturally is by itself. You would never have, Steven, my boss, would never have that issue, unless he like wore it in a mohawk maybe or something dramatic. But yeah, and there's definitely been some weird experiences. I'll give you an experience of a coworker of mine she's actually dealing with right now because it's fresh on my head. But she just recently found out her neighbor has been stalking her. Her neighbor across the hallway has been stalking her. And she's going through all of these courts of law, like all the processes to kind of figure out how to get him in jail. And the short end of the stick is she's having to move because of all these moving parts, and she wants to get away and the court's not moving fast enough. So she is having to pack up her life and move to get away from someone who is bothering her. And so, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's crazy. I think it happens all too often to women. I'm a part of Facebook groups where, they share their stories, and it's horrendous. We just found the other day, someone has made, I'm sure it's probably a collection of men, has made a Reddit stream of the hottest TV news anchors in the business. And myself, several of my friends were all on this list, and it's all screenshots of, Instagram pages or, just it's awful. It's one of those things. And I was just talking to my mom about it the other day where I was like, gosh, like this makes me sometimes want to not be in this business, because I think as women in television, we put a lot of ourselves out there. We're expected to be your friend, and we're expected to be fun and friendly. But then it's like, at what point are you able to draw that line and, feel comfortable going to work? And I think that's where it all comes back to, again, the ESPN article with the Mets GM, how that journalist had to quit because he was so uncomfortable. So, I mean, it happens a lot. I can screenshot you my DM.
Oh, I'm good. I've seen some of them on Twitter from other reporters, and it's insane. It absolutely is insane. And it's just frustrating. And I'm not a woman, but I feel for it because I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. I have multiple friends in the industry that deal with stuff like this. And I hate it for you guys. I really do. That's why I reached out and wanted to have this conversation. It seems like for everything that goes good, there's 2 or 3 that goes bad. I mean, the Marlins just hired a female general manager who I think the Mets, as a Mets fan, should have hired. Then we wouldn't have had Jared Porter. But, so there's a great step there for a woman in sports who earned it and deserves it and worked her tail off. And then you've got that reporter in Chicago, like you said, that had to leave her job now 4 years ago, I guess, because of this. And it's just so frustrating. I wish I could do something other than just have a conversation.
But I think having conversations is where it all starts. I mean, when you think about some of the, the biggest things that push for change, it started with a conversation. And I think, like you said, with the good comes the bad, but also I think the good is really good. Women are taking so many strides just in this past year. I mean, look at the Super Bowl. We have our first woman officiating the Super Bowl. On Monday, we have 2 women officiating an NBA basketball game for the first time in the history of the sport. So, I mean, while it's easier to harp on the bad and talk about this is bad, 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 like there is a lot of good things happening. Like women are making steps. And I know like it's easier for me than it was for those women. And then my hope is that, the women who are in my shoes in 20 years, whenever, hopefully I'm where I want to be in my career, they won't have to deal with this kind of stuff or deal with it as much, because I don't think it'll ever go away. But I think if we continue to put spotlights on it, and the biggest thing is making sure that, people are punished accordingly. I think a lot of times, a lot of this stuff gets, swept under the rug, and that old mentality of, oh, well, she was probably asking for it. Like when we can get that mentality out the window and, people can say, no, that's wrong. And I think you brought up a really good point too about having daughters. That's my favorite thing to remind people whenever they say gross things to me is, oh my gosh, like, would you say that to your daughter? Or, I'll say things like, wow, like your wife sure looks good in that profile picture. And it just, I hope with those extreme responses that it's like, hello, like you're a married man with kids. Like, would you want someone to say this kind of stuff to your daughter? Would you want a married man with a wife in his profile picture to say those things to another woman? So I think hopefully with more and more women stepping up and speaking up and setting that standard and saying, this is not okay. And then on the other side of that, men also joining in and saying, no, this is not okay. I think there has been a lot of progress for sure.
That is Hailey Sutton joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. And it's eye-opening about harassment in the sports world with female reporters. And we'll continue to have that discussion on the Jason Walker Show. There's no question about it, because it needs to be talked about. But I'll post more with Hailey on our website too, or online later on tonight. All right, let's switch gears and talk about something positive, which is music. And this young lady is 15 years old. She's been in Nashville for a while now. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. Do you prefer songwriter or singer first?
I'm definitely I'm a singer first. That's how I started, and songwriting came with it. So I would say singing for sure. But
okay.
There's so many things you can do with it. So.
Well, let me give you the proper introduction. It is singer-songwriter Taylon Hope joining us here on the Jason Walker Show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here and talking to you, and so excited to be on today.
It is my pleasure. And so last week I interviewed a dude that's like in his 60s, 70s from Exile, Marlon Hargis. And now you're doing a 15-year-old. Now, Marlon didn't post anything for a week before about being on the Jason Walker Show. You've been all over Instagram and Facebook and like posting like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on the Jason Walker Show. And so you can tell the difference in age between you and Mr. Hargis.
It's funny. It's a lot to keep up with the social media and everything, but I do most of it, and I enjoy just, putting stuff out there for people. So it goes with it for sure, but it's another job. So.
It is a job in itself, just keeping up with social media, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Taylon Hope joining us, singer-songwriter. You just released a Christmas song in November, and a lot of Christmas stuff. How happy with the music are you?
Yeah, I'm really excited with a bunch of stuff I have coming up, and I released a Christmas single last month. It's crazy. Does it seem like it was last month? But back in December, it went really good. It was called My Christmas Lights. I wrote it with my great friend Bill DeLuigi and produced it with my producer Kent Wells, who's Dolly's producer. And I've been working with Kent for about 5 years now. So ever since I started coming and writing and singing in Nashville. So Yeah, I just love Christmas music too, and that one did really well. Just been, with everything in quarantine, I just really wanted to put out a happy, Christmas song to get out there. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what else is coming this year, though. It feels good to be a new year for sure.
So you're from North Carolina. You're actually in the Appalachians. You're on the other side, or Appalachian Mountains, from next to Appalachian State and Boone, but living in Nashville. But you mentioned Dolly's producer, Kent Wells, and she has to be an inspiration because you're basically on the other side of the mountains from where Dollywood is.
It is crazy, yeah. I grew up in the mountains. I've always been, just a country girl raised in North Carolina, and I grew up going to Dollywood all the time. Like, Dolly was always my, biggest inspiration and music and what she did for other people too, and her writing. I've just always listened to Dolly and admired everything she's done and with her career because, I just feel like everybody looks up to her in some way. But yeah, I just started working with Kent when I was about, 10 or 11, came down here and started recording. Yeah, so it's been a crazy journey. We've been all around the country doing stuff and performing and just having the time of my life. So I love it. But it's just so cool to kind of see, I've gotten to talk to Dolly a few times, and I opened up for her last January at the Ryman, which was an incredible experience before COVID hit, and I got to open up for her on that stage, and just so many blessed opportunities I've gotten to do with, what I love, and it's just so cool to see everything, grow and meet more people, and just, it truly is such a cool place. Nashville is, just because, everybody gets what you're doing, and I feel like that's kind of the thing that I wanted to move to Nashville for, definitely, was just, I feel like it's just where my people are. That's what me and my mom always say, but that's, North Carolina is always going to be my home and hometown, and write about it all the time. So, and I go back a lot too. A lot of my family and friends are there. So it's kind of cool to have two homes.
Right. I mentioned the Appalachians, but you're actually in the Blue Ridge Mountains of West North Carolina. So West Jefferson. Taylon Hope, our guest here. And you mentioned the opening for Dolly last January. It was almost, Saturday will be a year to the day. But Lee Greenwood and Lone Star and Colin Ray and T.G. Shepherd were there. I mean, these are legends of country music. And at 14 at the time, you're on the stage at the Ryman with these guys. I mean, Garth Brooks performed at the Ryman for the first time when he opened up his Sirius channel. That's got to be just, what's it like to stand on that stage at the Ryman Auditorium?
I've always, dreamed of singing at the Opry and at the Ryman. And I remember my parents took me to Nashville first when I was 8. I wanted to come here for spring break. So I remember touring the Ryman and getting to stand on the stage. And, they have like photos there and you can take your picture. And I still have that picture, which is pretty cool. But just, it's just something I'd always dreamed of doing. And Finn asked me to do it. And I was like, you mean the Ryman? And he's like, yeah. And I was just like, just one of the best moments of my life, I have to say, just because it's kind of just like a feeling you can't describe being up there. It is just, very rewarding. And I was just so blessed to be able to even sing one of my songs up there. So just a moment I'll never forget. And it just, I can't wait to play again there, hopefully sometime soon. But it was right before everything hit last year. And it was just kind of, just like a great kickoff to that year, and then everything happened. But it was just something I kept holding on to. But it's just so awesome sharing the stage with those people too. I've always looked up to. So it was just, an amazing night for sure, and I'll never forget it. So,
Taylon Hope, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. All right, so I mentioned that night, but I grew up listening to country, and I'm a lot older than you, like 30 years older than you. So for me to see you opening up for Shenandoah, and I mentioned T. Graham Brown, but Susie Boggess, oh my gosh, how popular was she in the 90s? And she's been to Big Sky, Montana a few times, but Ned Ledoux, the son of Chris Ledoux as well. And Ned's very popular up here, obviously, because of who his dad is. But you've opened up already at 15 for some legends.
Yeah, it's just been so cool getting to travel and be able to do that. I opened up for Susie in Kansas a couple years ago. That was my first time I'd ever been on a plane or anything. And I just remember it was a crazy plane experience. story. But
Wait. Why is that? Now, tell me this story.
Well, I'd never been on a plane before, and I was just like, wow, we're going to Kansas. I'm so excited to, go and open up for Cuzzie and this really cool show. And because I'd always, Kansas is they've got a lot of music down there, and everybody's so sweet. And so there was terrible turbulence on the plane, and it was just, it was just an experience that I'll never forget too.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first plane experience. I guess we were going into Texas, and it was a small plane because it was in Wichita, Kansas, is where I performed at. So, but yeah, we got there. They were like holding up signs and stuff, and they were just so sweet. And Cuzzie was awesome too. But there's many music stories with traveling and everything with bands and everything like that. That that's just another amazing part of music, is just making those memories and then going to play on stage. But still, there's a lot of behind the scenes too. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Taylon Hope, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. 15 years old. I'm going to talk about your musical influences here in a second, but you've got to appear at the Bluebird, which is legendary. That and Tootsie's in Nashville. What's it like to be at the Songwriter nights at the Bluebird? Because, I mean, those are legendary nights. I mean, anybody who's anybody will show up on any given night at the Bluebird.
It's so amazing. I remember just, always wanting to play at the Bluebird and, just places like that in Nashville, because one thing Nashville's so cool for is having those real songwriters places where people, come and actually listen to the songwriter and the songs they sing. That, it could be the biggest song in the world or just a song that's not even been heard yet, but it's going to be huge. It's so cool to see, songs like get put out that way. And I don't know, I played at the Bluebird, I guess the first time I was 11. With my good friend Bill DeLuigi, who I still write with. I did a round there, and I've played the Bluebird ever since. And places like the Listening Room in Nashville, I actually host my own rounds there. Now I've got a show on February 6th. I just played there a couple weeks ago. But just stuff like that. I mean, just like staying safe with everything, of course. Right. But just those places to see people come in from everywhere to hear your songs. And those places are so cool because people really listen to what you have to say, which is amazing as an artist. Probably speaking for everyone in town there, but it's just so cool to be able to play those amazing places where so many hit songs have been played, and it's just an honor. So,
okay, when you were at the Bluebird and you're playing, who is the biggest country singer that has listened to you at the Bluebird?
Gosh, I'm not sure. See, that's the cool thing about the Bluebird, just because it's kind of dark in there, and
so you don't know who's there.
You really don't. So they put you in this round in the very middle, and it's a very small place. You would never imagine it to be that small, just the way it's talked about. But that's what makes it cool, I think, is just because it's just like a room of people just listening to what you have to say. But you're just in a circle, and that's the only life there is. And there's everybody surrounded you, like you're almost like in a living room, just hanging out, singing songs. So, but it's just such a cool place, and I'm happy to say I've gotten to play there with some of my good friends. So, I hope to play there soon. I don't think they're open right now, but just so many places you never know now. But it's so cool to be able to play places like that with my songs. So it's so much fun.
Taylon Hope joining us, Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. Okay, so it lists like Carrie Underwood, Martina McBride, obviously Dolly, Keith Urban, Trisha Yearwood, Vince Gill is some of your influences. These are all relatively, newer. Do you go back to the 60s, the 70s at all, besides Dolly?
Yeah, I actually grew up listening to people like Patsy Cline and Kenny Wells, people like that. That stuff. I always try to put that element of music in my songs. I just feel like that's just what really made country music what it is. I wrote a song called Women of Country with my good friend Devin O'Day here in Nashville. She's awesome. But that one really just like kind of talks about the women of country, who made country music who it is, and just, all that traditional stuff that really, that everybody follows in the footsteps of that. So I've always looked up to that old music as well. So yeah, just people like that. I've always grown up singing their songs and try to put, my little twist of kind of stuff they did now, but a bunch of those newer artists too. Just a big range. I really, really love 90s country. I grew up on a lot of that. So, just, you know, Reba's just one of my biggest influences. On some of those people you named, just so many people. I try to, you know, look at different aspects and songs, and every way they write's different. And it's just so cool to see different varieties of artists and country music for sure. It's a great genre, and a lot of people just, you know, learn from it. So,
yep. Plus, you got the red hair like Reba, so that makes sense.
Yeah, she's always been a big inspiration for me, and not only the hair, but her music. I just think the writing style is just incredible. Just always, and the way she performs. You look back and watch Reba's videos of her performing, and she's just spot on every note. So I love to watch videos like that, and, you know, just really, you know, just look at what they did and look at what made them get there. So it's really cool as a young artist to look back at, you know, the people that, you know, paved the way. So.
Sure. Let me ask you this: when you're writing a song, when you go to sit down, and I know you guys have these songwriter meetings and everything, but when you go and sit down, do you have ideas? Do you come up with ideas? I mean, take me through it blows my mind how you guys write songs. I can't even write my name sometimes, Taylon, let alone a song. And you guys are amazing at this. Just how you spin. Forget the musical aspect of it. Just how you spin lyrics to make them seem like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And it amazes me how you guys do it. Take me through the writer's process.
It is so crazy because I started writing, or I've always loved writing in school. I've always loved just, you know, writing down what I feel. Or with music, I wrote my first song with my mom when I was 8 years old on a snow day. So, just, you know, I always have just loved music and singing, and that's what I started with. And when I came to Nashville the first time, I realized, well, these artists write their songs. So, I started writing my own little stuff and put out a couple albums, you know, for my hometown and stuff, and you know, stuff like that. And then I started coming here when I was 11 with my producer and started setting up co-writes with all these writers. And I've learned from every single co-write that I've gone into over the past, I guess, 6 years now. It's just so crazy to be able to learn from each writer. But definitely just I come up with ideas I have, just some inspiration, you know, my life, other people's lives. I just, as a songwriter, you're just always looking for anything to, you know, write down or put down in your notes, or just any experience, any movie, anything like that. You're always just looking for that way to be creative. But yeah, I usually start with the title, come in with the writer. It depends, you know. Sometimes I'll start with a melody on my piano and start doing with that. And I've actually been writing a lot more with piano lately, and started writing by myself a ton this past year. And I feel like developed a lot in my writing, and just really kind of found out who I am trying to be as an artist, which is pretty cool, because I feel like you're really going to find out who you are as an artist once you start doing your own songs and writing by yourself, for sure, because then you know what to talk to the co-writer about and what to, you know, kind of tell them your style is. But just so many incredible people I've gotten to write with. You know, I mentioned Devin O'Day, Bill Luigi, Melissa Rowe. I wrote with Casey Beathard, who's an incredible writer, written so many hits, and Bridget Tatum, her too. Just so many people. Mo Pitney, I've wrote a few songs with. Just many people. I could go on for days, and just so grateful I've gotten to write with them. You know, just never would have thought I would ever be able to sit down and write a song. So, I mean, it's crazy. Just because Nashville is a small world, and you meet people and then you write with them the next day. It's really cool that way. I love it. But yeah, just sitting down with a guitar, I love to start with the chorus first and kind of build around that. But yeah, just lyrically, I feel like I've grown a lot in the past year, because it does take, I mean, I feel like songwriting does take as much practice as performing and singing, because it is just owning your craft and being able to find out who you are through your writing, and when you're writing with other people too. So.
Well, so I mean, I brought him up before, but I love Garth Brooks. In fact, I mean, I grew up on Merle Haggard and Don Williams, and then, you know, I grew up in the 80s, so it was like, all right, I love like pop music. and 80s music, but the dance brought me back. And I know Garth didn't write it, but the dance brought me back to country in 1989. And Garth is such an amazing songwriter. And to hear his stories, Taylon, about how, you know, he'll write a song and then it'll sit there for 15 years before they end up cutting it. And you're only 15 years young right now. But do you have songs that you've written in the, I mean, because you change so much. Like Garth says, you change from a 19-year-old to a 40-year-old. I mean, you're going to change between now and even next year. But you just mentioned, like you said, you've changed a lot in 2020. There's a lot of growth still, and it's just amazing to me. And do you have songs that you wrote back in like 20, you know, when you were 10, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I got to revisit this?
Yeah, definitely. I have so many songs now. I try to keep a, you know, catalog of all my stuff and just all the lyrics. There's sometimes this year when I was in quarantine, I'd be able to go back and find old songs and maybe change some lyrics or kind of to fit my style now more, which is really cool just because, you know, I feel like lyrics and music are always going to stay with you and you can do whatever you want with it. And that's such a cool thing about songwriting is just because there's so many different songs you can write and so many different ways you can change the song after. But yeah, even now I've just got so many songs I've not been able to record or anything, but hopefully I've picked out a few for maybe an EP coming in April or May. So that's going to be exciting. Just it's really interesting to pick the songs too that, you know, feel like most people will like and that fit your voice right, and, you know, just enjoy, you know, singing them the most too. That's really important. But just it's crazy to go back and look at all the songs I've recorded and haven't recorded, and some I've forgot about, and some I just, you know, look at my phone. I'm like, oh, I forgot I wrote that. Let me sing that at the listening room this Saturday. Just stuff like that. It's really cool to be able to go back and find them, because it is like a journey and a story to see how much your writing and has evolved too. It's really cool to look back on all that stuff. So.
A couple of final things. I've kept you longer than I should have, but I hope Bev doesn't get upset. But Keith Burns you've written with from Trick Pony, right?
Yeah, Keith Burns, he's awesome.
I've met him back in, 2003 or 4 here in Montana. What an amazing talent he is. And, I mean, you'd listened to some of his Trick Pony stuff with, you know, Heidi and Ira. I mean, that was amazing. But he's a good dude.
He's so awesome. Yeah, he's such an amazing performer too, as well as a songwriter. Like I've wrote with Keith for many songs actually. I had a few of our songs on my past album, and he's really such an awesome performer, and he's just a funny guy, and he'll just write an amazing song with you. So he's definitely someone I look up to. He's really awesome. So, and his music's really great.
Yep. I've listened to some of your stuff getting ready for this interview. One of my favorites, If It Wasn't for the Storms, and that was released after the tornadoes in September last year in Nashville. And Nashville's been through a lot, and I talked to Marlon about this last week, but Nashville's been through a lot, and this was a fantastic song. I appreciate the lyrical aspect of it.
Oh, thank you so much. I wrote this with Bill DeLuigi. We wrote it back in March after the tornadoes hit. Actually, I think a day or two after. And it was actually just to the point where COVID had hit America and everything like that. And just scary because nobody really knew what was happening. But then also they thought it was going to go away fast. And I had a title just called If It Wasn't for the Storms the day after the tornado. So I came into Bill and we wrote it, and we didn't know kind of what it would mean for the whole year after I put it out and everything. So it's just kind of saying if it wasn't for those bad times, we would never appreciate the good to come and the good in the future, and what you're in, you know, now is it's always going to get better, so kind of thing. But that song has really been cool. I had a bunch of people submit like art and everything for like the cover and stuff, and people painted storms, and that was one of my favorite memories of last year, seeing all those people sending all that stuff. But that song definitely means a lot to me, and just because I feel like it's a song that really just lifts you up, and it always just kind of shows there's good things to come always, so no matter what you're going through. and especially for so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and it's got there's a little nitty gritty dirt band in there with one of the lines for all us lonely raindrops. If it wasn't for the storms, now if it wasn't, how did now I forgot how it goes. If it wasn't for the rain, we never have. Oh, you help me out here. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for all us lonely raindrops. If it wasn't for the storms.
Yep.
That part.
Yep, that's that part. But there's a song from Nitty Gritty Dirt Band that reminds me of that line, and you could tell a little bit of influence in there.
Love their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm gonna forget now. It's gonna drive me nuts until I remember that song. But Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, you'll know. You'll go back and listen to it, Taylon, and you'll figure out what it is, and then be like, oh my gosh, that Jason dude knew what he was talking about. Hey, I gotta let you run, but I appreciate the time, and I look forward to chatting with you soon, and I'll be in touch so that we can get you on again when your new album comes out or new EP in April or May. And you're a lot of fun and great songwriter for so young, and it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 55. The lyrics can come from the heart, and I love it. Continued success. And I do look forward to I'll be in touch on Instagram. I got to get some stuff hanging up in here from you.
Awesome. Yeah, please. Yeah, have me on again. And I've had so much fun. And thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Taylon. We'll talk soon, okay?
Awesome. Have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank
you too. That is Taylon Hope, an up-and-coming 15-year-old country singer in the world of Nashville. And seriously, she's got some unbelievable songs. You can go to TaylonHope.org. or .com and check it out. Taylon Hope Music. Check it out. Taylon. But yeah, she's fantastic. If we're ever going to see the rainbow, you got to Stand a Little Rain. Stand a Little Rain. That's it. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Stand a Little Rain. That's what it's called. There you go. Stand a Little Rain. That's what her song reminds me of. If it weren't for the storms, or wasn't for the storms. So there you go. All right. Thanks to Taylon Hope for joining us here on the Jason Walker Show. Real quick, we'll wrap up here with On This Day in History, as I love this. I just love talking to people, or talking with people. And we had a great show today. Holy cow. Today is January the 26th. It is Green Juice Day. It is Peanut Brittle Day. It is Plan for Vacation Day, which I'm doing with the wife for her birthday next month. And it is also National Spouses Day. So I feel like I should be celebrated. Wives get celebrated all the time, and February is tough for me. I got Valentine's Day on the 14th. Her birthday is a few days after that. Where's my celebration? National Husband's Day. That's what we need. Spouses Day today, but we need Husband's Day. Let's see here. We'll do a couple of... American skater Charles Jutra becomes the first ever Winter Olympic gold medalist in 1924 in France in the speed skating 500 meter. Chicago beat New England on this date, 1986, Super Bowl 20, 46-10. Jan Stenerud, on this date, 1991, became the first pure place kicker to make the NFL Hall of Fame. 1992, in the Super Bowl 26, Minneapolis, Washington beats Buffalo. 2003, in Super Bowl 37 at Qualcomm, Tampa Bay beat Oakland. Australian Open on this date in 2003, Andre Agassi won his 8th and last Grand Slam title. 2008, Maria Sharapova won her first and only Aussie Open, beats Ana Ivanovic. Maria won 5. On this date in 1880, Douglas MacArthur was born, and I've showed you this picture before, but this is my grandpa after he'd been wounded in Korea, shot in the hip. But that's my grandpa, obviously on the hospital bed, and General MacArthur. It's MacArthur's birthday today. Paul Newman was born on this date in 1925. Bob Uecker in 1935. Eddie Van Halen in 1955. It's Wayne Gretzky's birthday, 1961. Let's see, 1983, Bear Bryant passed away. Paul Bear Bryant, Alabama coach, dies at the age of 69. So, there you go. Okay, let's get to this. Maybe? You gonna play? Hello? Play? Maybe not. Apparently I don't Are we even on the? I don't even know if we're on the air anymore. All right, the walk-off. It is 1998. President Clinton. This was the date, 1998. He said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Terrible impersonation. Terrible. But there you go. All right. What a busy show. What a great show. Taylon Hope, thank you. Kent Paulson, thank you. Hailey Sutton, Phil Cuzzie. Tomorrow we'll talk to Katie Garson-Forbick, Capital Girls coach. Hope you have a fantastic Tuesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 4. If you missed anything, go to jasonwalkershow.com. I'm also going to post the full interview with Hailey Sutton about sexual harassment, and we also talk transgender sports. Maybe we'll share that on Thursday as well. jasonwalkershow.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Have yourself a fantastic Tuesday. Back here tomorrow at 4. We are presented. Hey, you were still in your new crowns came, little princess. There's little princess, her new crown. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center.
To repair them. They're Helena's newest GM certified facility. No matter the new vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps